Hey guys, my name is Mavi and I've spent the last 14 years in the plastic surgery and beauty industry, working alongside top board certified plastic surgeons.
Now I'm an independent patient coordinator who doesn't work for any surgeon. This means I have unbiased reviews for hundreds of doctors and I can help you achieve the look of your dreams, whether that's a supernatural or a video vixen. I use my professional and personal plastic surgery experience to help you look and feel your best.
Join in on the fun as I talk to plastic surgery experts, friends, and real life patients about all things plastic surgery. Should be fun. Hey guys, do I have the show for you today? I am so excited to have a very special guest with me today, and you guys are going to love her. So this is Lauren, and she is from On the Low Studios, and she is a social media director. Hi, Lauren.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you. I am ready for you to give us a behind the scenes and kind of how does everything work? We always talk about on this show how social media isn't what you think. And you always, when you're looking at a plastic surgeon, you always have to take more into consideration than just their Instagram or their TikTok. And that's why today, Lauren is really going to give us a behind the scenes of how does social media for plastic surgery work. And we have so much to talk about.
We do. I'm so
Give
excited.
Give it to me, Lauren.
I'm excited. I mean, there's just so much we're going to talk about everything. Anything that you want to know, I'm here to give you the tea on.
Okay, so let's go back. Rewind. How did you even get started in social media director?
I actually got started in skincare. My first thing was getting into skincare. I loved clean skincare. That was the first time I ever got into beauty. And then I started doing my own social stuff with like skincare. I would post about it, make like reviews on it. And then I started to get into like Botox and fillers. I would post a little bit about that, showing like my experiences. And then I got into dermatology, where I worked with Dr. Jason Emmer. That was kind of like a launching point for me. I was able to, really show off dermatology stuff. And then he did practice like surgical stuff like lipo and whatnot. So then I also worked with a plastic surgeon there, Dr. Robert Cohen, which Joseph and I, if you know Joseph Jericho, he's incredible. He worked with him too. So we kind of have that in common. Got to work with him. And then I was like, I really want to get into plastic surgery. That's where I got to work with Dr. Gavami for the last 4 to 5 years. And that was truly like the launch of my career, my passion for it. I love plastic surgery and, filming and, meeting all of these patients. It was such a fuel for me to keep going, watching their journey from beginning to end. And even in the in-between and me being able to see them go through that, I would love to see these experiences every single day. So here I am now.
And now tell us a little bit about what you do now.
So now I have my own social media agency where it's specialized in plastic surgery. I do have like esthetician client and nurse practitioner, and I love it. I get to work with surgeons on a daily basis, create content that is digestible for, users that don't really know a lot about social media. I get to talk about topics that some people wouldn't even expect to like know and teach them, educate them about plastic surgery things, and then also showcase, incredible results, which is actually really hard nowadays on social media. I'm sure you've heard from your surgeon friends that you're like not able to show before and afters. But I say, who cares? Just keep showing your results. Like, even if they're telling you we can't show this to, the number of people across the board, who cares? Your results are your bread and butter, and you got to keep pushing them out there, no matter what Instagram's telling you. And I keep doing that.
I love it. That's why I started helping plastic surgeons and other industry professionals launch their own shows, their own podcasts, because this is something I was coming across with them. They would tell me, we're getting shadow banned, our pictures are getting taken down, our pictures are not getting shown to anybody. And my solution to that is like, well, that's not going to change. And I think it's probably going to get worse because there's a lot of regulations coming in. trying to protect our kids and our young teenagers, our young people from having these feelings of not being good enough and wanting to look like what they see on social media. So I don't think that is going to stop, like getting shadow banned. I don't think all of a sudden plastic surgery is going to be like, oh, okay, it's okay. We can show before and afters of liposuction and stuff. I would tell them like, hey, maybe you need to launch your own show, because as a plastic surgeon, once you have your own show and you can talk really freely with your audience and your patients, it just takes that patient doctor relationship to the next level, because by the time they come in, they already know you. They know you, what you do for sutures, what you do for drains. They already know you. So I love that we can help the surgeons be found by the patients, because that leads us to patients and what they see online and social media and before and after results. And really, I want you to use your experience and tell us, how should we navigate through what we're seeing online?
Going back to like being mindful for youth and, body positivity, or just, comparing ourselves to other people. When I get on social media, it is really easy for us to compare, like, being like, oh, this body is looking great, or, like, I wish I could look like this person. What did they do? And trying to pick apart. And I see this with a lot of injectors where they pick apart a celebrity's facial structure. And I think that doing those things kind of I think when we pick apart like these celebrities, I think that's where a lot of this fueling comes from, where people are writing down a list of the procedures they think this person has had so they can go to a surgeon and talk about it. I don't think that, plastic surgeons are telling people like, hey, like, we're just showing off our results. It's not like we're doing anything else. We're just showing off the results that come from this. We're not being like, this is what you need tonight. But to navigate through that, I think the best way is for children or parents, just to be mindful. I think it's hard. It's unavoidable. And generally, it's really hard to, set up like controls. Kids have their own access to things anyways, unless you want to set those things up. But just take everything with a grain of salt. At the end of the day, it's something that I just think it's unavoidable. So I'm trying to find the words for it. Yeah. But
it really is. I'm a helicopter mom. I on my daughter's
I
phone.
would do it too.
She's 10, and she took my work phone and turned it into her phone now. But I go through that all the time, every day, if possible at night when she's asleep, and we look through your phone.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's something that we've dealt with for generations, and as more accessible it is to us now, it was still always something with our parents, with our parents' parents. It was just having a beauty standard that people would look at. I think it's totally up to everyone's discretion of being like, okay, is this something that I want to digest? If not, then I'm gonna unfollow this, or try to skip it when I or hide like tags. Like, you can do that, I think, on TikTok and maybe Instagram. Try to hide certain keywords so you don't have to see those searches coming up anymore for yourselves. But I love it. It's something I look forward to seeing on my feed every day. But I know it's not for everybody.
It's really not for everybody, but for me in particular, I love seeing it. And I love seeing the content that you have been coming up with for the surgeons that you work with, where you're actually addressing the questions that a lot of the patients are thinking. That's something that I really prided myself in, and I still do pride myself on, thinking about the things that the patients are thinking, but they don't even know where to find or ask, or how do I find this out?
I love asking those kind of questions, or having the surgeons like talk to me about it, because one, these are things as a patient, I'm a patient, these are things that I'm thinking of. So sometimes late at night where I'm like, oh, let me ask this about a rhinoplasty. Let me ask this about a BBL. Is it true that this, and that? These are things that people are looking up online, because I know I am. And I'm able to share these with these surgeons, and they give me their best responses. And it's nice to hear like different sides. Like, some surgeons will say this, other surgeons will have a different opinion. And it's nice to actually have, different opinions online, so you can take what you want or who you feel more comfortable with. And not only that, you get to learn the surgeon's personality and who, like, okay, this is someone I'm considering going and talking to. And it builds like a kind of trust with them, I think. Just having like that discourse, like without even really talking to them.
Okay, so how from behind the scenes, tell our listeners, my girls, we want to know, how can we tell when photos are being photoshopped? Because that is something that we are seeing more and more. And some of these really drastic results that you ladies are seeing online are actually photoshopped. A lot of them, especially the ones from the places that have really cheap prices.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. That is notorious. I think one thing is it's really easy to show on-table results or even kind of hide a realistic on-table results because especially with BBL, I want to say we're able to do so many little things in the operating room to make it look bigger than what it is. One, I can shoot in 0.5, blow up that butt, make it look way bigger. And then also surgeons sometimes, from what I've seen, is they add a gel padding underneath their pelvis and then it kind of lifts up their butt and it brings they arch their back down. The anesthesiologist is able to actually have the bed go towards towards the floor a little bit and it'll make the butt look bigger and the waist look smaller. And so when the patient sees this after photo from the operating room, they're like, oh my gosh, like I'm snatched. And then they come back in a couple of months, they're just like, where was this? Did the fat die out? And in reality, it's all like photo games. And to notice, if you want to see something that's like Photoshop, check the sides, check the bed. Is it actually this wide of a bed? Or even it's really easy. There's so many tools that people can do, Facetune, FaceApp. People will inject one big thing that I see a lot with like chin lipo is they'll inject so much tumescent into the chin and then of course it's gonna look bulgy and all of a sudden same base, same outfit, everything, their jawline is crisp. That's another game that I see a lot in some clinics, I guess. And then Photoshop,
I've seen that before.
Yeah, you just have to take everything with a grain of salt because to the naked eye, you won't know. But to people like me, I can call it from a mile away. I'm like, this isn't real. And it sucks because they get people who are really wanting to get surgery done, can't afford it. And then they see these cheap prices and they're like, you know what? Like they're willing to take the risk and go. And then they end up disappointed. It sucks. I see it all the time.
Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing behind the scenes? Because my girls know I talk about this type of stuff. This is the type, I know this stuff is happening and I know, photos are being edited, tables are being angled, oils are being used to make it look super shiny. All of these different tricks are being used. But
oh my gosh, yeah.
What I want is for you to show our girls how to look at a picture and decipher it. Like, should I take this and really believe it? Or was there a lot of tricks in this photography?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on one. I think the most honest things, and sometimes even then there's a lot of wiggle room with it, is doing, medical before and afters. If you're seeing that in a video, photos are really easy to manipulate, clearly, but videos are much harder to mess around with, especially when a video has like, stuff in the background. You can see when things warp in, what doesn't warp in. And then another thing is just how edited these photos are. The way, when I say how edited these photos are, like let's say on table and stuff, if it just looks way too bright, if it's just way too defined, it's just sometimes to me I'm like, this is unrealistic. Like there's no way this person is looking like this. I think that's a good way to kind of spot these things. Another thing is when you see patients that are posting like in office or out of the office, don't get me wrong, I love showing a good patient result from like vacation or something. My thing is I always like I won't post this on the video, but I try to just let people know, like, listen, this was sent in by us. I didn't take this photo, so I don't know what happened when a patient says it to me. I think that's a tough thing for surgeons to share too, because you never know. I think videos are going to be your best bet of know in seeing like a true result in office specifically. But another thing I would say too is when a surgeon is like over posting body, like over sexualizing posting bodies in an office where it's like just so sexy, you're kind of like, what are you selling me? Or like, what are you trying to show me? Because I feel like, are we trying to hide an angle? Why aren't you doing a 360? Why isn't this patient in their like bikini and underwear? Why do they have to be so dressed up in like leggings or a nice dress? Like, why don't you show me her scar? Show me like how that's healing. Or when they put like they have the underwear so high up you can't see the scar. To me, it's like, why can't I see that? I should be able to see it even when healing. I know, and something that I'm guilty of is when I do see patients and I feel like their scars are fresh out, I've noticed that I will kind of cover it up. But I think for me, I was just working with surgeons that were very self-conscious of their scars. And I feel like that shouldn't be the case, or they feel like people wouldn't like patients, prospective patients who wouldn't understand what a healing process looked like. And I feel like at this point now we are all kind of educating ourselves of like how we heal. And I think it's important to show fresh scars so that people understand this is what it's going to look like. I am trying to stop doing the let's like hide it technique.
Let's hide it.
Yeah. And just show more so you know what to expect and know that, you know, some things are the realisticness of healing from surgery.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people don't expect or are scared of scars. And I think it's important to showcase it so that they know what they're expecting.
On that note, I'm just going to tell my girls, do not fall in love or hate your scar until you are at least a year out. Those first 6 months, your scar is going to go from red to purple to pink to all different shades of colors in the red spectrum or purple. And then it's going to end up, by the 1 year, it'll be close to skin color most of the time. In that first year, don't fall in love with it or hate it. You don't even know what it's going to look like yet. It hasn't been a year. So I think that's a really important point to talk about scars. You know what else? How about lighting?
Oh my gosh, lighting. It is lighting and then also camera focal points. Like, I think that's a huge thing, especially like facial plastic surgery. There's so many ways, especially in rhinoplasty, I'll say that. There's so many ways that you can manipulate just a photo, video, anything. I think that's a huge thing in facial plastics where everything's just overexposed and you can't really see, you know, a lot, or it's too dark and you can't, and makes things look crisper. Like I would say abs look more defined. It's a big trick. I know that for sure. I know something I've noticed people will do is where they'll be so close to or they'll film in like 0.5 in rhinoplasty and it'll just make them nose look so much bigger. And then when you come back from like, you know, healing journey, whatnot, they're filming in like the 1X or whatever. And it just looks so tiny and little and now their face is like perfectly perfect. Or I've even seen like surgeons do before and afters and film on Paris, like using the Paris filter, soften everything. And it's like, let me see the skin. Like I want to see the skin. Especially, I think it's important in rhinoplasty. And I know in rhinoplasty, I feel like thick skin is a huge thing. And a lot of people who want to have rhinoplasty that have thick skin, they understand how long that their healing process is compared to like other like people with thinner skin. Like it is so much longer. So when they see these results, they don't realize that, oh my gosh, I'm not like this person. They only see the size of the nose. So it makes it look like this surgeon can handle anything. And I feel like a lot of times that's not the case. And that could be with like body too. Yeah.
That sounds like some good strategy
right
behind it.
It's a manipulation tactic. I want to say, like, I think it's all marketing. I think everything's marketing. Everything's just like thrown at you to make you, you know, feel some type of way about these procedures. They see the result. And a lot of times I even see like surgeons showing the result or the after and not the before. Like they'll wait to show the before. Or they'll just show like a patient, like, and when they don't show the before, sometimes to me it's like, okay, so maybe this wasn't a huge change, maybe this wasn't a huge difference, because maybe they were born, they had their genetics already like this. And that's another thing. If you think about it, like people who get BBLs, and there's some surgeons who can work with like any shape and size. And there's some surgeons that are only good for like very petite people, because with then they can make them look even, they just add a little bit, anything's a huge difference. And I think that when you show that on social media, like if you show the person who's working out consistently and just adds a little bit of fat, then they're like, oh my gosh, this is the best result in the entire world, even though this person was already doing their due diligence prior. And we didn't know that because we never disclosed that in our social post, being like, she was working out like crazy before. It just looks like he did, or they did the liposculpting. They did they built the booty when this patient has been a bodybuilder for half their life. So I think that's a huge tactic that I see a lot.
I think you're so right. You know what else I think would be good to go over? One, if you want to, disclose what surgeries you've had, how you yourself have gone through the journey and been able to find the right surgeon for you, and what you've seen behind the scenes that made you more cautious as a patient when you were selecting surgeons for your surgery.
Yeah. So my surgery journey started with facial sculpting, and I want to say that's probably my most like famous surgery. I did buccal fat removal. I'm a buccal fat removal stan for the right candidate, because I know a lot of people are not candidates for it, or they're not a fan of it. But for me, I feel like it changed my life, because I'm Mexican, so I have very big cheeks. I'm not saying every Mexican does, but
Look at me.
just
Hello.
I'm telling you, like, I was just chipmunk, and my whole family has that too. So removing that just like by the most like precise amount, I feel like really helped like showcase my cheekbones. I did facial fat transfer to my jawline. I did it to my high cheekbones, and I did it to my chin, just to elongate it, so help give me like a nice crisp cut. And I saw Dr. Gawami for that. He did it, like I worked with him, so he was like, I think you'd be a good candidate. I was like, sign me up today. And we did it awake, and that was actually really easy. A lot of people are scared to do awake like facial procedures, and I totally understand it, but for me, I feel like it was pretty easy. Next thing I've done a lot of filler. Like I've done filler in my nose, which I'm gonna do a rhinoplasty soon with Dr. Deer. I'm so excited. I've done breast augmentation, and I've done a BBL. I did
Buffalo
dorsal
hump.
yes, buffalo hump. I almost said dorsal hump. Yeah. I've done that. I did lipo 360 basically, and then trying to think what else I've done. Trying to remember what else have I
It's
done.
so funny. It's so funny. Whenever people ask me what have you done, I'm like, oh my God, it's been like 14 years. I have to think about everything in the last 14 years, what I've done.
I'm like, what haven't I done at this point? Just kidding. But no, I mean, I love it. I will say, I think the most game changer surgery that I've done, that I feel like is just kind of is the gift that keeps on giving, was my facial sculpting. BBL, I need a redo.
You're like, I need a round two.
Yeah, no, seriously, I really do. I'm like, so I want to do, I don't know if you've heard of like the fascial releasing, I want to do that so bad on my hips. I think that's something that's a game changer for girls that have very tight hips. And so I've been researching and stalking it online. And the rib remodeling, I've been like, let me write these down.
You know what? It's so interesting whenever you're in the industry and you're like listening to all of these different procedures that are coming out, and now we're doing this and now we're doing that. And the rib repositioning came on my radar maybe about a year ago. There was a surgeon here in Texas who was doing it. Okay. So before that, I had only heard about it because of Thalia. I don't know if you guys, my audience, this is an older Mexican singer, pop star, who had the tiniest little waist. And I remember growing up and hearing like, oh, her waist is so tiny because she had a rib removed, or she had ribs removed. So when this doctor came on my radar about a year ago, and he told, he was doing that, and I asked him to come on and talk specifically about that procedure. And he said, no. He said, I do not want to talk about this procedure specifically because I am having a lot of complications from it. Or not a lot, but I'm having some complications from it. So after that, I was like, okay, maybe I don't. If this guy's having complications with it, maybe I don't want to explore talking about it on the show or like showcasing it, right? But now I see it's coming out even more. Like more doctors are talking about it. So I'm wondering,
No, I'm like, I want to know what's going on here. Like, is this another, like, this is another thing about social media, is that you start to see these things getting highlighted and then you get interested. You're just like, okay, like, for example, PRF Easy Gel. I just had it done. You had it done. Like, those are things that become like, that are on our radar. We're like, how is this going to, let's see how this works on, like, for us, because it's just, it gets thrown in our face. We see before and afters, which that's another thing too. Before and afters for PRF Easy Gel, I'm not hating on it. I think it's pretty interesting. Like, I love the regenerative stuff, like the stuff that we're using naturally. But the before and afters I see a lot of like places doing, they are doing before and afters immediately after. So I'm not seeing what's the long term after. Like, I don't know how this is actually being shown, because I was a victim to the, like the hype of it. And I don't think it's like, I'm not sure yet. I need to do a couple more sessions to really give my take on it. But, I want to see a real life session. I think that's really hard for real life result. I'm sorry. I think that's hard for a lot of like these med spas, because it's hard to get these people back in. So they got to work with what they have. And that goes for plastic surgery, body surgery, because we only get to see our patients so many times, and maybe people live in other states. But that's why I say take everything with a grain of salt, because I know how it is.
you know how it is on the back end.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I feel like taking after pictures immediately after the treatment of Easy Gel is like taking an on the table result picture, because that's not what it's going to look like when it's done. And I just made an episode about the Easy Gel because I had it done and I loved the results for it. Like I actually had my man do it first because I had an event and I couldn't get the injections done. So he did it, and I was watching the changes in his skin and his face, and I literally watched him the whole time, and I was like, you know what? I should have taken that first spot. Let me go back in there. Now I want to do it, because I really liked the results on him, and he's now probably like 3 weeks out from his second session. So, and the results are still looking pretty good. So the jury's out, but I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I'm excited to do my second session. I really want to like, I want to see how it improves, because I feel like the first one is very subtle, and then I think when you hit the second or third, like then it's like, okay, everything starts to show. So I'm like, let me see. I'm like waiting, and I want to do a whole like, I love it. I think my eyes look great right now. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I want to see how much better it'll get, and I want to take photos from where, beginning, middle to the last session, so I could give an honest result. And that's another thing too. I really want to point this out to you, is when influencers do social media collaborations with surgeons, they are only showing like they are showing their beginning, like real quick. They are so hyped up to be like, okay, I'm having surgery, guys, come with me to have a breast augmentation. And then we don't get to see their true like result. They only say like, okay, I'm like 2 weeks out, I love everything. And then you don't hear from them again. You just see them on their like profile showing off like their breast aug. We don't know what's going on. I've seen influencers come in and do collaborations with like surgeons, and I've seen some having to have to go back under. Sometimes I even heard like influencer be like, I wish I didn't like, show like
Have the
post,
surgery.
didn't have the surgery or post about it, because like I am unhappy and I have this like commitment to have to like post with you. And it's another thing too, like when we see influencers that we look up to, we don't really know like how they're really feeling behind the scenes. And then they're showcasing to their following, they're influencing them. And then these people are coming to have surgery with that surgeon, and they don't get that same type of experience or same type of treatment either at all. So they're left upset. I still get messages to this day from patients being like, I can't reach out to anyone. I can't get a follow-up. I'm upset, this and that. And we don't see that on social media. We don't get to see the negativity. It's crazy.
It is crazy. Well, for my girls who are listening, you are going to get to hear a little bit more from Lauren in a future episode where we're actually going to be deep diving even more, talking about this topic, even more, talking about ridiculous pricing. Let's talk about some of how do the influencer and surgeon relationships work? But that's going to be a topic for another episode because we are done for today. Lauren, I really appreciate you coming on, and I can't wait to have you on for the next episode. It's going to be so much fun. So if my girls want to find you, where can they find you?
I am on Instagram and TikTok at OnTheLoh, ONTHELOH. And that's pretty much where I live, TikTok and Instagram.
And before I let you go, if you were talking to your best friend, your mom, your sister, and she's thinking about having plastic surgery, what's one tip that you would give her? She's like, hey, I want to get a tummy tuck.
First, I would probably ask them, like, is this something that you're ready to handle? You have to understand that I just give them a realistic, like, review of how aftercare looks like, because we only think about the results. We're not thinking about the process of getting it to. So I would have a realistic conversation with them, just sit down with them, make sure this is what they want to do, and then show me their inspirations so I can help find them the surgeons that I trust, I know, and even ask my coordinator friends too and see if they could set up with them. Because I could only do so much. I always refer like my friends, maybe like, listen, you should talk to this person because they'll go and sit down and give you a good list and guide you through everything. I can tell you this person's good and this and that, but I'm not holding your hand like these coordinators will do along the way. But that's like a big tip for me. Like go to like see a trusted coordinator. Don't just go to your homegirl across the street and ask like who did it and then trust them and just go to them. Do your research.
Do your research. The best note we could leave this episode on, do your research. So that's the episode for today, and I'll see you guys next week.
So if you're listening to this episode and you're listening to the Big Butts No Lies podcast, you might be on your surgery journey. And if you are, and you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start, you've come to the right place. I am so excited to do one-on-ones with you guys. I've realized as I do them more and more just how valuable they are to you, not only because you get my expert opinion, I get to guide you towards plastic surgeons that we know are going to do a good job and keep you safe. Besides all that, I get to talk to you about things that might not even be on your radar, things that you don't even know are possible. But since we get so in depth with our conversations and I really get to know what your dreams are and what you're really looking for with your body, I can tailor my recommendations to the surgeons that I know can help you achieve that. And taking the guesswork out of who to go to is invaluable. So schedule your one-on-one phone call with me. You can go to my website, go to the quick links, submit your information, let me get to know you, let me see how can we help you. You can get your own team. You guys, I have been working so hard behind the scenes to come up with a perfect way for you to have your plastic surgery and not only come out with beautiful incisions, but also feeling beautiful on the inside. So book your call with me and take the guesswork out of your plastic surgery journey.
And don't forget, new episodes every Monday. I'll see you then.